this one's really bad. Hey everyone, I'm Abbey Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. Today's video is sponsored by Built Bar, and we'll be taking a look at YouTuber and self-titled professional eater, Erik the Electric. But first, let me tell you about my sponsor, Built Bar. We're definitely getting close to the holidays, and that to me means that things are gonna be getting busier and busier around here. Having some easy snacks on hand will be key for the days that I'm, traveling around to see family or running errands. So Built Bar has been one of my go-tos for a while now, and I really usually don't love protein bars, but these babies taste like actual chocolate bars because they're made with real chocolate, while of course packing a ton of protein and not tasting like chalk. So I like that. Let's take a little tasty taste. Ooh, what are we gonna get into today? Well, I think we're gonna go with like a classic chocolate. All the chocolate, double chocolate. 17 grams of protein worth of chocolate. Can I get an amen? What? Pump it up. Nothing makes your girl dance better than a little double chocolate on a Friday. But anyways, this is of course a lower sugar option for those looking for that. So I personally love to put mine on top of my oatmeal at breakfast, or like serve with some ice cream for dessert before bed. It's honestly so good. So if you want to give this a try, check out my link in the description and use my promo code AbbeySharp15 to get 15% off of your purchase. Now, before we get into it, feel free to pause the screen or look at the description to check out my disclaimer, including a major trigger warning to those with current or previous experiences with disordered eating. I'm going to be talking explicitly about eating disorder related topics in this video. So of course, as always, feel free to skip this video if it's not supportive to your journey. Also, if you are new here, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring that bell so that you never miss out. Alrighty then. For starters, a little backgrounder on our pal Erik. Erik is a popular YouTuber who's amassed 1.6 million subscribers thanks to the popularity of his food challenge videos. Now, some of his most popular videos include calorie challenges where he eats anywhere between 15,000 to 100,000 calories in a day, a la mukbang style. I mean, it's pretty intense stuff, but interestingly, Erik has been quite candid about his previous history with anorexia and now credits food challenges and competitive eating as a tool that he used to confront his fear of food. And that sounds a little similar to, some other folks that we've reviewed on the channel before, like Always Hungry and Nikocado Avocado. Now, we're gonna be talking more about the nuances of this later on in the video, but for now, let's focus on what Erik eats on a normal day when he's not doing one of his big food challenges. And FYI, to make this as up to date as possible, I actually found this one on his Instagram. Let's take a look. Okay, let's get into this. In the morning, Erik has one black coffee and has some pre-workout. Doesn't actually provide very much besides maybe some caffeine, hydration, and some B vitamins. And while the caffeine in the coffee and in the pre-workout may give him a good energy boost to help power him through that 50-mile bike ride, I would still definitely want to be seeing more caloric fuel in the tank to help support his endurance needs. So fasted cardio for recreational fitness enthusiasts is one thing, but he's going all night without fuel and then doing a solid 2.5 hours on the bike. So yeah, he's almost definitely blowing through those glycogen stores and potentially eating into metabolic muscle. One recent review of the literature suggested that endurance athletes should avoid high intensity activity while in a fasted state, as it can increase the risk of low blood sugar, dehydration, dizziness, and of course, in worst cases, passing out. So I would definitely recommend a pre-workout meal with protein and a solid amount of fast-acting carbs in there. Something like a fruit-based shake with a little bit of yogurt in it would be an easily digested option. Okay, so most people don't need a sports drink after working out, but I would say that this is definitely a scenario where I think it's indicated to help rehydrate and replenish those electrolytes.
Gatorade. H2O.
But it's equally important to be replenishing those energy stores and protein to help support post-workout recovery. Ideally, after 2 intense back-to-back workouts like this, especially considered they were done fasted, we would want a solid meal in here with a ratio of 1 gram of protein to about 4 grams of carbs. As the name suggests, Powerade Zero provides 0 protein, 0 carbs, and 0 calories. So if maintaining that metabolic muscle is Erik's goal, this is definitely not an ideal plan. And I'm being pretty damn generous with that comment. Okay, so it's 7 p.m. and we finally get to see some real food. I guess better late than never. But here we're getting some much needed protein from the steak and whatever fish is likely in the sushi. We've got some carbs in the sushi rice and sweet potato, and hopefully some fat in that salad dressing. So while we are hitting the hunger crushing combo here, it's no shocker that this meal is pretty high volume and high calorie. But I would say that we definitely need those calories, and honestly a lot more considering his workout alone likely burned almost 3,000 calories.
I've just finished one of the most intense workouts I've done for a while.
It's really no question that this amount of energy expenditure would spark up some pretty ravenous hunger, but is this the best time for this big meal and subsequent snack? No, it's not. It seems like we're playing a little bit of kind of catch up on our caloric and protein intake here, which brings me to the oh so important topic of meal and protein timing. We now know through recent research that the anabolic protein window for muscle protein synthesis is actually much wider than we once thought. It's actually around 4 hours around the training session. Now, since Erik had a fasted workout, so nothing since the night before, we actually have a much shorter window to work with here. So we would want to see that meal within the first hour after training, not 6 hours later. It's also better to have multiple protein doses throughout the day instead of having all of it all at once at the end of the day, because for athletes like Erik, the body can only use up to about 0.25 to 0.4 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight for muscle protein synthesis every 3 to 4 hours. Depending on which equation we're going to use based on which study you want to cite, we're looking at somewhere between 1.2 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, or about 20 to 30 grams of protein per sitting in 4 to 6 doses per day. I know, your girl is getting technical as but in simpler terms, if Erik really insisted on doing fasted cardio for whatever reason, I would want to move this protein bar immediately after his cycling session, along with maybe a couple pieces of fruit or toast, since this bar is just a 1-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein. And then I'd want to have the steak meal like a few hours after that. So in another one of Erik's videos, he discusses his supplement regimen, which includes a pretty varied cocktail of supplements, including iron and collagen to help support his muscles and athletic performance, selenium for his thyroid, CoQ10 for energy, and vitamin D for immunity. Those are his words, not mine. Now, Erik also says that he often tries to hack his high-calorie food challenges by taking a probiotic to help combat the bad bacteria from the types of foods that he eats in all his videos, along with a fish oil supplement to counteract the inflammation and brain fog brought on by said foods. Now, lastly, Erik also takes a berberine supplement to help manage the so-called blood sugar spikes that he experiences post-food challenges. I just want to say, you know what is an actual evidence-based hack for combating all of these not so pleasant health outcomes? Not doing these challenges in the first place. Like, I don't get it. I am all for supplements, especially for specific health conditions, if they help improve your quality of life and allow for some more flexibility in your diet. But with all of those horrible, uncomfortable side effects, I don't know how these challenges would positively contribute to quality of life. It seems like this guy is just bouncing from one uncomfortable extreme to the next, which I'm going to talk about more in just a minute, but I can't imagine that any supplement is going to completely eliminate or improve outcome better than like prioritizing consistent nutrient-dense meals. Anyways, let's see how he ends the night. Okay, so about an hour after his protein bar and steak salad, Erik has 2 substantial bowls of Lucky Charms cereal, plus a bowl of fruit, some rice cakes, and some peanut butter. Now, I have no issue with these foods. I think that they can all fit into a balanced diet. Right here, for example, we are getting some protein and fat from the milk and the peanut butter, and some carbs from the cereal, fruit, and rice cakes. And as I demonstrated in my hunger crushing combo video right here, sugary cereal, like Lucky Charms, can absolutely be incorporated and turned into balanced snacks. But the fact that he's eating over like 1,000 calories of predominantly refined carbohydrates all within the same hour feels a bit chaotic. Like, it's almost like his body and mind is begging to be caught up to meet their needs, and he has to pull like a Cinderella before the clock strikes 12 and the restriction starts all over again. Now, I'm absolutely not diagnosing Erik or anyone else, but this is textbook binge restrict cycle behavior. And it's especially concerning to me given Erik's eating disorder history. Now, before I dive deeper into that, I do want to talk about my overall thoughts on Erik's diet. Based on our rough calculations, on this particular day, Erik's eating roughly 2,200 calories within a short 3-hour window. Now, this is actually substantially more than what we have seen in some of his other videos, where he's only eating like 400 calories of chicken, rice, and lettuce between those food challenge days. Either way, it's not enough. For the level of activity he's doing on a day like this, he would actually likely need between 3,000 and 5,000 calories. And consistently, like not an erratic cycle of extreme overconsumption and underconsumption. Sure, modest caloric fluctuations from day to day are absolutely normal and can be easily accommodated by the body. But eating 10,000 calories one day and then 400 calories for 3 days will not net out the same in the body as consuming 2,800 calories consistently for 4 days. Our energy levels will suffer, our metabolism will suffer, our muscles will suffer, our digestion will suffer. Our body needs adequate and consistent nutrition to function at its best. Not once a week, not some of the time, not 3 hours a day, every day. 2,800 calories
every day.
The shell has spoken.
No amount of caloric restriction, intense exercise, or supplement hacks are going to be able to effectively undo the damage from this lifestyle. As for his protein intake, Erik's consuming about 93 grams of protein on this day, which is considered on the low end of what's acceptable for an athlete, depending on which standards you use. Obviously, on other non-competitive days, when he's just kind of getting the one meal of chicken and rice a day, it's not sufficient. But even if he does get this 90 grams a day consistently, it's not being optimally utilized by his super active and probably starving muscles. Not only because there's a significant delay between training and protein intake, but also because he's not spacing out his protein intake throughout the day. So if we spaced out Erik's protein and calories throughout the day in more equal doses, aka meals, we would definitely see better muscle protein synthesis, better appetite regulation, better digestion, and also probably better sleep, because I don't know, I can't imagine it feels very good to marathon eat 3,000 calories right before bed. Now, I alluded to some of this earlier, but I want to chat about some of the physical and psychological concerns I have about Erik's erratic pattern of eating, starting of course with some physical concerns. Now, when somebody overeats to the extent that Erik does in his food challenges, it can be seriously taxing on the digestive system. Not only can it cause significant stomach stretching, as Erik himself will often demonstrate in his videos.
That is quite a food baby.
No, I'm not perfect.
But it also puts excessive metabolic strain on the liver, pancreas, and intestines, as these organs now have to kick into overdrive to digest and absorb such a large quantity of food. Not to mention, it can cause some pretty uncomfortable short-term side effects like acid reflux, gas, abdominal discomfort, bloating, water retention, and fatigue. The same can be said about plowing through so much cereal right before bed every single night after a full day of over-exercising and fasting. Now, Erik insists that he has the unique ability to handle this stuff, as his perfect blood work would suggest. And as my colleague Erik Williamson told me when I consulted him on this case, it is true that for healthy individuals, consuming a one-off carb-heavy meal shouldn't have any major impacts on blood sugar levels, since blood glucose is pretty tightly controlled in an individual that doesn't have diabetes. But as amazingly resilient as our bodies can be to these brief periods of inconsistent nutrition, with enough wear and tear, we can start to see the long-term impact. So we're talking about things like poor metabolic functioning and an increased risk of diabetes, heart disease, osteoporosis, GI dysfunction, hormonal imbalance, vitamin deficiencies, and more. And these physical health risks are honestly the least of my concern. There are also some major psychological concerns with Erik's lifestyle. First, we do know that excessive intake of ultra-processed fast foods have been associated with an increased risk of depression and can negatively impact gut bacteria, as actually he mentioned himself. Now, research also suggests that a high-fat, nutrient-poor diet can increase feelings of irritability, aggression, impact attention, memory, and mood, and also negatively affect our ability to emotionally regulate. I honestly wouldn't be too concerned about this if the lion's share of Erik's weekly meals were nutrient-dense, well-balanced, and adequately spaced for optimal hormonal levels. But based on the information that we've gathered, even in this kind of off day, that doesn't appear to be the case. Even more importantly to me is the risk to his psychological well-being and relationship with food. Now, first, I want to start by saying that, again, I'm not here to diagnose or imply that Erik has an eating disorder. If he says that the food challenges have helped him to heal his food fear and he is happier and healthier for it, then I will leave it to him and hopefully a therapist or professional to unpack that experience. What I can say is that research does support food exposure and habituation as an effective treatment strategy to help normalize fear foods, but, and this is a big but, engaging in extreme food challenges is absolutely not how any eating disorder recovery protocol would look. What we're seeing here is essentially a pendulum swinging between extreme caloric restriction and compensatory excessive exercise to extreme binge eating, all under the guise of combating fear foods for entertainment purposes. Now, Erik himself has been quoted to say that he doesn't consider what he does to be healthy, and that what he does would probably be clinically classified as an eating disorder. Like I said, I'm not here to diagnose Erik, so those are his words, not mine. But if we were to look objectively at the diagnostic criteria for bulimia nervosa non-purge subtype in the DSM-5, it would be characterized as frequently eating large amounts of food in a short period at least once a week, while simultaneously compensating with excessive exercise to prevent weight gain. Again, I'm not making a diagnosis, but for strictly educational purposes, I do want to point out that it's not abnormal for individuals with previous histories of eating disorders to essentially swap EDs. It's also a very common disordered eating pattern to essentially restrict heavily all day and then consume all of your calories at the end of the day, almost as an act of extreme delayed gratification. I know when I was struggling with my eating disorder, I actually did exactly that. I would basically eat the bare minimum to survive all day while distracting myself from eating with excessive exercise, and then by dinner, I would just go from one snack to the next until I fell asleep. Going to bed often becomes the only way to get oneself to halt the binge train, because once you open those floodgates, it feels like your starved body and mind won't let you stop. Now, whether or not this is the case for Erik, I do not know, and I'm not suggesting that it is. But my concern is that people with previous ED histories who watch his videos may get the message that extreme mukbang style eating challenges may be a good recovery strategy because they see that Erik looks to be weight restored, or he seems to be at peace eating a big bowl of Lucky Charms every night, okay? Or multiple bowls. That is not true recovery, at least not for most people. True recovery would be nourishing your body every day, all day, allowing yourself Lucky Charms when you want them, along with other foods that make you feel good, not consistently eating so many bowls of Lucky Charms that you feel sick, and not punishing yourself with restriction the next day because you ate said extra bowls of Lucky Charms. I know it's so easy to justify this behavior as food freedom, because that's what my eating disorder voice told me too. But there is a much better way, and it starts with quitting the food challenges and other extreme diet plans that require some form of compensatory mechanisms or behaviors, and instead learning what actually feels good to your body all day, every day, for the rest of your life. And on that note, that is all that I have for you guys today. A big reminder to please be kind in the comments. And another thank you to Built Bar for sponsoring this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it the thumbs up. Leave me a comment below on who you'd like to see me review next. Subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye.